They enjoyed impressive revenue and profits. When Microsoft started these subsidiaries in the 1980s, they were intentionally made independent to ensure they could grow fast, unencumbered by directives from Redmond, Washington headquarters. It was the perfect environment for fiefdoms to take hold. By the early 1990s, these subsidiaries were growing quickly. This led them to argue for their own resources in a variety of areas. Microsoft's Italian subsidiary, which was hiring a fair number of new employees each year, argued, successfully, that they needed additional human resources, HR personnel, to emphasize quality training, as well as several HR generalists to help manage the growing staff. At Microsoft UK, the company launched several creative marketing efforts that later were utilized successfully by other countries. Before long, the subsidiary had hired a surprising number of additional marketing people. In Germany, Microsoft was especially strong in information technology. Microsoft Germany set up a small data center designed to show customers how they could successfully use Microsoft software. It seemed like a great idea at the time. Over time, however, this evolved to a major data center, complete with its own information systems. The subsidiary felt these systems were necessary to run their business in their market. What was going on in these Microsoft subsidiaries was the basic human tendency to take on more and more resources. Those additional resources may look worthwhile at the time, but as the divisions grow, they consume more manpower and balloon costs. By the mid-1990s, Microsoft's German subsidiary had a staff of more than 70 IT professionals. Their data center and systems were extremely independent, duplicating countless resources already available at headquarters in Redmond, Washington. The same kind of thing happened in finance as well. Subsidiaries came up with their own ways to analyze their business, methods that tended to emphasize how well they were doing. What was going on at Microsoft in the early to mid-1990s was not that different from the experiences of most other multinational corporations. General managers of company subsidiaries of many corporations perceive themselves as kings in their countries. They want to act and be treated totally independently. Each GM wants to be perceived as the CEO or president of the company in his or her country. This kind of thinking was going on in most of the Microsoft subsidiaries, and it was resulting in some major challenges for the company. At the end of the quarter, the subsidiaries would send in their spreadsheets and reports, often defining terms differently than Microsoft's corporate finance department. You can imagine what a mess this created for the corporate finance folks at the end of the quarter. The number of frantic phone calls and email messages flying back and forth between the subsidiaries and the corporate controller and his department was phenomenal. I remember during the first week of January 1995 walking into the office of one of the financial analysts who was trying to pull together all the European results. I had been at Microsoft for only a few months, and as the new chief operating officer, I was making the rounds to see how the place operated. The analyst was on a speakerphone in the midst of a screaming match with the Italian subsidiary about why they seemed to change each quarter how they categorized marketing costs for shipping promotion materials and what they classified as cost of goods sold. He was trying to pinpoint exactly what definitions they used this period so that the right cost could be put in the right financial bucket. After listening in on this conversation between the Italians and Microsoft's corporate finance people, it was clear to me that there was no discipline in the system. The Italians weren't trying to be difficult. They felt that they were running their business smartly. The problem was that the corporate folks didn't have a focused, disciplined approach toward the basic elements of the company's financial structure. It would drive Bill Gates nuts that it took weeks for the company to figure out what the quarter was going to look like. Not that Bill was overly interested in the short-term financial results. In fact, he absolutely wasn't. He was focused on designing and developing great software. But he was very concerned that we didn't have the information systems in place to make the financials fall into place in a timely manner. After all, we were the world's foremost software company. He expected the company to have superb systems. At Microsoft, the true impact of the geographical fiefdoms that had grown up over the years and the financial challenges they posed to the company hit home when Microsoft had to embarrassingly make excuses to its customers when they asked to see how Microsoft managed its financial systems. Our customers were expecting to learn the best practices from a global leader in information technology. After all, they reasoned, a totally networked high-tech company with offices throughout the world must have the most sophisticated financial reporting system on the planet, right? Later in this book, I'll describe what Microsoft did, in record time, to break up its fiefdoms and truly turn itself into an incredible showcase of financial systems excellence. Today, the company can close its books each quarter in a couple of days. Cutting Through Fiefdoms, Sam Walton and His Dream. Back in 1987, when I was the Chief Information Officer at Procter & Gamble, Sam Walton invited a Procter & Gamble executive team to Bentonville, Arkansas. He told them that he had heard so much about their tremendous effort behind total quality that he wanted his executive team to be exposed to their wisdom. Sam went on and on about how much he admired Procter & Gamble's knowledge on this subject, and how he hoped that Walmart would be able to learn from their experiences. Naturally, this made the Procter & Gamble people proud of their total quality efforts. They jumped at the opportunity to go to Bentonville to present a one-day training program to Sam's executive team. This was the same one-day training effort that Procter & Gamble had been implementing internally with its own people. Upon hearing that the training required a full 8-hour day, Sam was a little bewildered, but he continued to move forward with the plans to have the Procter & Gamble crew come to Bentonville. The P&G team walked into the meeting room in Bentonville with a stack of transparencies to be used with an overhead projector. Sam looked at that stack and once again got a bewildered look on his face. The training session began, and Sam impatiently fidgeted in his chair as the trainer painstakingly droned through the material. About an hour into the meeting, Sam got up and said to the Procter & Gamble folks, "Look, boys, I'm not so sure we need to go through all those transparencies. I think we are all beginning to get the idea behind this total quality stuff. What I'd really like to talk about is how Procter & Gamble and Walmart can do business together with a lot fewer people involved and with a much higher rate of overall efficiency in both of our organizations. What we need is to just have you guys ship us product as automatically as possible, and we'll settle up at the end of the month and things will be real simple." Now it was the Procter & Gamble people's turn to look bewildered. The total quality trainer jumped up and indicated that he was confident they could tackle that problem as a group exercise once they got through the transparencies and understood some of the nuances of total quality that he claimed easily applied to Sam's problem. The total quality presentation resumed, and Sam took his place and again fidgeted around like a hyperactive kid. After another hour, Sam popped up and said, "Look, we don't want to get too loaded down with theory here. I think I see where you are going with this total quality material, and I want again to suggest that we interrupt the meeting and just jump right into making it simpler for our two companies to get P&G products through our warehouses and stores and off to the customer." The P&G folks tried to get Sam to back down, but there was no stopping him now. He took the felt-tip pen and started drawing boxes on the flip chart that represented P&G computers, Walmart computers, Walmart distribution centers, P&G warehouses, and Walmart stores. He then proclaimed, "Why can't we just have your computers and our computers talk every night and place the order for P&G products to be shipped to Walmart distribution centers automatically?" Again, the P&G folks tried to get Sam and his group to back off, but Sam prevailed. This time he got a bit more emotional. "You boys have about 7 operating divisions that all offer separate products and all have different business practices. Each of those divisions sends their salespeople and their fancy cars to park in our lot and sit in our lobby and wait for our buyers. We have to have buyers for every one of those salespeople, and these sellers and buyers get all set in their ways and believe they are very important and have their own ways to do the business, and it costs us all in time and money. Let's just see how simple we can make this stuff." Sam was asking that we break up the P&G sales fiefdoms and that he break up the Walmart buyer fiefdoms that had developed to meet with the P&G fiefdoms. He was convinced P&G didn't need all those salespeople and all those cars those salespeople drove and all the appointments they made with his buyers. He was convinced that his buyers had formed their own fiefdoms to protect their profession, and that all the sellers and buyers had avoided the potential of technology for fear of it replacing.